Right, I am now undertaking a mission to replace my stock clip-ons for some Helibars, which I've read good things about, which will just raise the height a little bit and make the bike a bit more comfortable. So I'm going ahead and doing the replacement. So I've just removed the bar ends here, which they are here. Another one there. I've removed, there's under here, there's a couple of bolts just around about there, I think. Apparently they're not going to be reused, so they are there. I'm basically just following the instructions. I've just loosened this pinch bolt here for the triple clamp. This is going to come off. I'll loosen that one and undo that. So that's the that pinch bolt loosened out. Now I've just removed this this hex nut from here. I was expecting it to be really tight, and I'm like here with like the breaker bar and everything, and I pretty much could have just taken it off with my hand. It was that loose, so yeah, that's kind of a bit concerning. This not lose that washer as well. So let's keep these things safe. Yeah, you can cry, but this is a good thing. Okay, right, now to try and remove the triple cam. I'm expecting this to just be a bit loose. Yeah, it's coming off, but I need to put my phone down because this requires two hands. So yeah, I just had to work it on each side just to basically just take that off. So let's just set this aside so you can just take it off with the you know, with the ignition key and everything else in there, and the wiring. I might give that a clean as I've got it all off. Let's just set that over there. Try not to bend too many cables in the process. Right, and what do the instructions say now? Remove the top tube lenses to the force screen. Yeah. Remove the front brake reservoir from factory bracket. Loosen and remove bolt and nut. They will be reused, but the factory mount should be stored with the stock right handlebar. Okay. Right, and now, so where are we at? So I've removed the brake reservoir. I'm just going to rest it there. This bracket here is not going to be reused. I'm going to undo that bolt when I actually come to remove the clip on. I'm doing the right one first. Yeah, so what I've just done now, I've loosened this little thing, this little cap, which secures the brake master cylinder. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so basically I've just got the master cylinder and the reservoir just loosely sitting there, and now I'm going to remove the throttle. So those two screws there, and then hopefully that'll come off nice and easy. Alright, so I've just removed these two screws for the throttle housing, and the funny thing is the instructions said that those two screws could be really difficult to remove, and they were really easy. Could have undone them by hand. So right, so I've just loosened basically that bit there, just enough so that the throttle housing now is free to move off the end of the stock clip-on. So I've just presumably just dislodged it off the little hole that's in there. Now I'm going to see if we can get this switch gear off. Right, again, so I've removed, well, not removed, so I've loosened that screw there, and the other one at the rear. It's just a normal Phillips, just enough so you can pry the switch gear open, and now it's free to slide off the end of the bar. So now I think the next thing is to undo that little bolt there and remove the stock clip-on on the right hand side. Okay, so I'm just loosened this this thing here. I'm just trying to take it off. I don't think I'm going to reuse this bolt, but I'm just going to take it out just for good measure. Stick that in my little parts container. Right, so now the little clip-on should just slide. See if I can do this with one hand. So that should just slide off. Slide up. There we go. There it is. And now that should give me enough clearance just to slide these ends off. But you know what? I'm going to need two hands again. So right. So that's it. That's the stock clip-on removed. I just slid up from the fork tube and out of the throttle and switchgear housing really nicely, and there it is. And you can see how very angled down it is. So if I just get the if I get the new one and compare it, right? So there's the new one. Important thing to note on these actually is there's a marking here and it says R for right hand side, but this is the real interesting thing. If I put them on top of each other, and you can see the difference in the angle between stock and the Helibars. So that's gonna raise my riding position, my riding height by quite a bit. And also, if you note, the bar is sitting slightly higher than it is on the stock. The stock's sort of centered in the middle of the bracket, whereas this is sort of slightly higher, and also presumably comes flush up against the triple clamp, so that gives you an additional bit of height. So I'm really keen to see how these are. So yeah, let's install them. Let's install the right one anyway. And that's the right hand side clip-on installed. So it's just kind of loose at the moment. What I have done is I've installed the switchgear on the right hand side. I've basically I haven't tightened it fully, but I've just hand tightened it there, hand tightened the throttle back, just check that that's all good. You know, just flicks back just to normal, you know, no, it's free to, you know, nice smooth action there, which is good. Yeah, and yeah, so let's continue. So that's the right. So that's the brake, the master cylinder reinstalled, but just not tightened fully. Switch gear's properly tightened. That's properly tightened. So what I've tried to do is just position the bars so the correct height they should be. And what's really interesting, if you look at the front of the bike, you can kind of get an idea of how much higher the Helibars are compared to the stock. So if you can see that, but there's a stock one there and Helibar there, and yeah, that's going to be quite a bit of difference. Doing the left side now. So that's the clutch lever removed, just two little bolts to remove in that cap, and now presumably two little screws under here somewhere to remove the switch gear, wherever the hell the screws are. I'll find them. Right there at the back. Where the hell? Oh yes, there they are. They're at the back, hiding. Right, cool. And there is that's the left clip-on, stock clip-on removed. Same sort of deal to just loosen switch gear, loosen two screws. Don't need to take them out. Just get them to the point where they're loose, and then you can see just enough for that little plastic notch just to come away from the little hole in here, and then it'll just slide right off. As for the grip, I did glue this. These I've got heated grips on here, but fortunately I didn't use too much glue to secure these, so just a bit of strength, and I was able to break the seal on that, and then that just twisted right off. So that's all good. So now to install the new one. Okay, so left side is installed. I've taken the liberty of just sliding the throttle back on, switch gears in place and tightened up at the back. I've loosely put on the clutch lever back on, but that's just loose there, so that needs adjusting and tightening. Again, this is all just loose, that needs just tweaking and adjusting now and tightening. So I guess now it's time to put the triple clamp back on. Yeah, let's have a look. So that's the triple clamp back on, but it's all still loose. Bit fiddly to get on, but I find just tapping it with your fist on either side gets it nice and seated until it just don't go down no more. And what I did do beforehand was I took my caliper and I just measured the clearance, how much between the top of the fork tube and the start of the triple clamp, just to make sure that it's the same, and it is the same. I mean, it can't go down any more than that anyway, so it's kind of pointless me doing that. But yeah, so I'm going to tighten up these two pinch bolts now, lightly tighten this the stem nut back, and then adjust the new bars. So just torqued these pinch bolts back down to 12 foot-pounds, which is 16 Newton meters, which is really not a lot at all. These aren't very tight at all, so very helpful to have a torque wrench handy. Now I'm going to do this one up to 90 Newton meters. That's a bit eye-watering, but we'll do what the manual says. I think that's in the service manual as well. So let's torque that stem nut up as well. Right, so next stage is to now the triple clamp's all tightened up, and that's torqued to 90 Newton meters. So you just got to bring up the right side helibar, so it's contacting the top. Get the bike on basically right steering lock, full right lock, which that is, and then align it. So then basically do what the picture says. I measured it before, and basically the distance between here and the end of the handlebar was, for me, was about 3.4 inches. It's a bit more than the photo, because the photo says to use 3 inches, but I've got Oxford grips on there which are a little bit fatter, so maybe that accounts for the extra that I've got. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so they've got 3 inches from the start of the tank to the end. So I'm gonna get my caliper out, and I'm gonna switch this 2 inches, and I remember it was about 3.4 inches, roughly 3.4 inches. So we're looking, yeah, 3.4 inches. That'll do. Let's just tighten that up. Oh, 3.399. Okay, so yeah, so difficult again to do with one hand, but that's got to come in a bit, just a little bit. There we go. So to the end of the handlebar. There we go. That's cool. 3.4 inches, and then tighten the nut back up to 16 Newton meters, which again, not very tight at all. But right, again, very handy to have a torque wrench. I'll set this to 16 Newton meters, so let's torque it up. See if we can do it one-handed. I'm not too fussed about the brake reservoir thing in the way, but let's yeah, torque it up. There we go. So it's not like hugely tight, but it's just tight enough. You don't want to be shearing any metal, because I've done that before. Right, so all done pretty much. Last thing to do, so I've just tightened, what did I do before? Yeah, so I've got the left side bar all nicely aligned. In fact, one thing I've noticed is one other way to tell that you've got the alignment perfect is just when you see the split of the clip-on. As soon as it meets the top of the start of the triple clamp, then you know you're pretty much done. And I just noticed that, and the same for the left side as well. So that's cool. So yeah, I've just installed the little bracket that they give you there. Come on, focus. So they give you this little bracket which I've just tightened up there. A little plasticky thing goes through the hole and you just tighten that up. Again, don't do it stupidly tight, just tight enough is sufficient, I find anyway. And then I did find, obviously, just, oh come on, stupid bloody camera, focus, you stupid bloody thing. Yeah, so this, just make sure that's not twisting, or the reservoir hose, that's not anything like that. No, that's all good. So so the next thing to do is just to tighten these up and get the levers aligned, which is what I'm going to do now. But already I'm sitting on the bike and I'm just going to go, literally I hardly have to lean forward just to grab the bars now. It feels so much better than the stock ones. So I'm really really looking forward to riding with this and seeing what it's like, and hopefully I'll be able to do much more longer journeys without crazy discomfort. So yeah, looking forward to it. And we're done. So just some final things. I've put the bar ends back on. Just a little note here, because I've got heated grips, I had to trim, there's a little bit of rubber, but I just had to trim off the end of the throttle here, because as I tighten this up it started to contact the rubber and restrict the throttle movement a bit. So so that's okay, that bit's meant to be trimmed off anyway. I left this side here because I kind of like the idea of it pressing up against the grip so that it's tight. Just some final adjustments on the clutch lever and brake lever. Tighten these two up, do the top one first and the bottom. Again, not too tight, I've cracked those before. Yeah, good to go. Just make sure everything's all good, lock to lock. You know, sort of turn the bike all the way left. Nothing binding, no cables stretching or nothing like that. Same on the other side. Yeah, it's all good. So can't wait to ride.